It's a beautiful, beautiful May day in New England in my lovely city garden. Don't let the buckets and all that confuse you. I use that. They'll come out of here once everything's planted in. So, as of yesterday, I have in a couple of tomatoes. I started off to put them in the ground yesterday. The plan is to try to get them all in here this morning before the sun hits. And if the sun gets too hot so we don't stress them out, I'm just going to try to cover them a little bit. That's why I have all this other junk in the garden. I'll give you a little tour. What I already have planted in and what we still have to go. Let's go. So May 28th, lettuce bed. Kind of the locations of where the tomatoes are going. Last night I planted these guys. A yellow pear. 5 Brandywine pink. I have another one to go in, but it's not hot enough yet. Another yellow pear. And then here's kind of the idea. Try to keep them wide enough apart from each other. And also enough room for them to breathe so I can get in there and do what I need to do. Nothing here yet. Oh, beside our morning glory is doing, cut onto the fence. That's the idea. I have these planted in the 4 corners, well actually 3 corners of the garden. My plan is for them to grow. They supposedly grow a lot all along the fence. That's what I want. I have 2 down there in that corner and 2 in this one pot. We planted out some of our nasturtium yesterday. I have one there. No, 2 days ago. 2 days ago. Also, that zucchini went in 2 days ago. And this zucchini went in last week. We planted corn under here 2 days ago. Little experiment to see if we can keep those seeds safe while they germinate. And there's our row of brassicas. Beautiful. So here's kind of the idea. Here's most of what the tomatoes I have. Been growing them from seed, potting them up, hardening them off. Yeah, that word's tough for me. Basically getting them used to the outside. I have 4 plants that I kept inside for a little longer. Those are actually hidden under cover right now. I took them out yesterday to start off the process. Since I'm putting these in the ground, the others will just get put in the ground a little bit later once they're ready. So the idea is basically to put them all on this side. They'll be going in rows coming from the fence out this way. Any of the trailing small berry type, cherry type tomatoes, I'm going to put between the rows and going up this fence. I have marigolds. I have several pots of them. These are all several plants in each. And I'm going to plant all of those out today, even if I don't get to all the tomatoes. Because those are beneficial, obviously, for growing, but they've been out here in the garden for a while, and I have some planted in, but we want to get those all planted in. Then I have some purple basil out here ready to go in, and we're going to plant those out. I have a lot more basil in the house that will go around the tomatoes as well. I just haven't had them acclimated to the outside yet, or, as they say, hardened off. Ooh, I said the word. So figuring out this plan of where all these tomatoes were going to go and where they were going to fit was not an easy task. I have been thinking about it since the day I planted all these seeds. What I usually do, planting out my garden, It usually looks something like this. All scribbles and ideas. Here's one from, find the one from previous years, one I've had from previous years. And I spend a lot of time as my seeds are growing, planning out what I'm going to do. However, when I decided to do 10 different varieties of tomatoes, I had to do a lot of thinking. Some of them are going to be like the cherry type tomatoes. They're going to vine up, so I wanted to put them in a place where they'll just vine up. Some of them need to be planted 18 to 24 inches apart. What I had to do is read all the packages, figure out how big they're going to get. I didn't want any of them to be shaded out by the other ones as the sun comes in. I spent a lot of time in the garden just seeing where the sun is during the days. I know it's going to change a little bit as the summer comes on, but typically I've been in this garden for a while. I know what gets really warm, what gets the most sun, the little tiny shady parts. There is actually some of the black cherry I found out. I was reading up yesterday. Don't mind a little bit of shade, so I'm going to put that in the area where it gets some sun, but not as much as the other parts, which is the rest of this side of the garden gets tons of sun, and as well as the middle. So with that, I decided where they're going to go. Actually, I didn't decide. I thought about where they were going to go over and over and over and over again. Finally, the other night, I said, you know what I got to do? I got to just take them. I just got to be out in the garden. Even though I have everything measured and how far I want to be apart, I really just need to look at it and see what it's going to do. And it works out. So this whole side is going to be tomatoes. There's going to be space in between. I have a lot of tomato plants. Some of them look great. Some of them don't look as well. And I'm going to be okay with the fact that if some don't make it, that's why I decided to grow so much. So the final plan is kind of here. As I started planting out last night, I went back upstairs, went home, thought about it again, and now I have another kind of idea. So this is sort of laid out the way it's going to be, but it might change a tiny bit. I'll have to change my little, and then what I do is I'll change my plan at the end, lay it all out. Once it actually is, I'll sit in the garden and do another layout of what I actually planted, so I have for future years. It's always a great idea to keep notes, and I keep tons of notes when I sow my seeds, when I pot them up, when they come outside to start hardening off, when they go in the ground, and that gives me an idea year after year in my zone where I am in the world, what works and what doesn't work. And that's why I do a lot of experiments as well. Again, keeping notes on everything. You can learn so much online, in books, from other people, but taking your own notes is going to be the best way to know what actually works in your garden, and it's going to help you year after year. I don't know how you are with your memory, but as time goes by, my memory's flying away. But having these notes is really going to help. So without further ado, I am going to stop planting this stuff out so the sun doesn't come over me too much, and I don't get too hot, and the plants don't get too stressed out. So good morning from New England. May 27th? It might be May 28th. I keep going back and forth. I think it's May 28th. But in the end, it's all these last few days I've been getting a lot of the stuff in the ground, and I'm going to be super happy to get all the tomatoes in before June in my area so they can start growing now. All right, let's go. As a reminder of what I'm growing, I have Valencia. And I definitely chose all these because how pretty they look. We have a San Marzano, which is a Romo tomato. It's good for canning. A Rosso Sicilian. The yellow pear. Brandywine pink. Which I didn't know when I was going to start growing this how big and huge they get. So I was reading up last few nights as well, on certain different varieties, so I really know their growing conditions. And supposedly these get huge, so wicked excited about that. The chocolate cherry, this is the one I was saying earlier, tolerates some shade and still does very well, so it's going to be going along the fence anyway, but I might keep a few of them down this end, which was the plan anyway, so that worked out. The green zebra, Virginia Sweets, the Black Crim, and the reason I bought this seed set of 10 seeds packages is for the purple tomato. The only one when I started growing had stunted growth, so I had to replant some. So I have 3 out here, 2 that look great, 1 that does not look great. And I also have 5 started in the house that all got started in the same pot. They need to be potted up and then hardened outside. So I'm gonna start hardening them off soon. That way I can get those in the garden as well. I'm still early enough that starting these, getting these growing is gonna be fine, and still have plenty of time for the few that I still have to get hardened off to come out and put them a little later in the season. And the worst thing that could happen is these will be done earlier. I'll have a longer season because some of the smaller ones that are not ready to come out will continue on when they're ready to come out and continue on growing, maybe even catch up to these depending on nature, how it works, how they grow. So we'll see. I gotta do a little bit of straightening up so I'm not falling all over things. I had all my buckets out here because all separated because it was supposed to rain last night. I thought it didn't because they're all empty, but that's why I have them all laid out. This I found growing in the garden. It might be a pumpkin that was left in here over winter, or it could be a cucumber. It's one of those type of plants. If you know, let me know. But we are going to grow it onto here and then plant it somewhere and see what happens. You can see over here, this is what I was using as kind of a cold frame to protect my tomatoes when they started living out here. I would leave them out, let them get used to the outside, then cover them up at night if it was going to be cool. And for now I'm just keeping them separate, but these are the ones that have lived in the house a little bit longer under my lights. Okay, so here's where I left off last night, the yellow pear along the fence. I'm leaving this space in between so I can get through and have room to go around the plants. Then we're going to do a row of 4 Roseau Sicilian coming out this way. Out of the way so I can get my holes down in here. This is about 13 inches, a little over a foot. I'm going to use this to gauge the spacing. This is the dirt, however, I am also going to dig deeper because the taller ones are going to be buried deep to inhibit more growth of roots along the stem. If you've never heard it before, tomatoes have the ability to turn all these little hairs coming off of the main stem into more roots. So when I bury this, I'm going to take off a couple of the bottom leaves. It's very thick and nice right now. If I bury it deep, it'll have more roots along that stem, only making the whole plant stronger. It always still amazes me that you touch a tomato plant and you can smell tomatoes. I love it. So we're doing Roseau Sicilian number 1 because this is the one that looked the best. On some of the cups I did that. The tallest ones are going to go towards the back, and then as they get smaller we'll go towards the front. That way the ones in the front won't be shaded off for sun for the ones in the back. The ditch, I'm going to add some of the black cow manure. Instead of putting this over the entire garden, I'm putting it right where it's needed most, where the roots are going to start growing. Also adding this to the hole. It's plant food, slow release plant food. It's like little pellets. So I'm putting that all along the ditch as well. Okay, so we made sure we watered all of the tomatoes plants before we start planting, and then of course we'll water it in once we get it in here. These are the cups that I used this year. I put holes all along the sides to give them just more air, and of course holes along the bottom. The bottom's kind of soft, especially once you keep watering it. Like I said, I'm going to take off a couple of leaves so I can plant deep. And I'm going to hold it nice and steady. Tap a little bit, comes right out. Okay, I need to go a little bit deeper than that. Where is my tools? Right there, we go. Perfect. And there's one. Hi, little worm. Okay, want to be a foot apart of that. So this one's going to go here. Just take off one of the leaves. Okay, that row's done. We'll go on to the yellow pear again. If everything works out, this is going to be wicked pretty with all these different colors. Excited. Excited. So, I just thought of it. I probably should be throwing in those marigolds as I go along while I'm down there on my knees. Not get any younger. Let's do that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take apart all of these marigolds. Inside this one pot, I have about a dozen or more marigolds growing. I never ended up potting them up to their own pots because as they started growing, I was planning on putting them in the garden earlier, so I took them outside to harden up, and they just look so great in here and happy as long as they have water. So what I'm going to do is I have some water from the garden buckets, so it's a little brown. No worries, they love that shit. So what we're going to do is take it apart. I'm going to leave it in here so I can take this with me as we go along, and the roots don't ever get dried up as I continue to plant them.
You should keep put a couple of buckets here for rain when it rains.
I do, Ma. See them all? Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just put them. So look at these roots. Oh my gosh. So many roots. So I got to be super careful. Might have been a bad idea, but that's okay. They're very resilient, so we'll just... Yikes! Note to self, this is probably a bad idea to let them stay in here this long together.
Hey, you just never know.
You're right. But they're tough. They'll be fine. The water in here will actually help making this mud.
Yeah.
I'll just break them up. So I'm just going to keep separating them and then get back to planting the tomatoes alongside of them. My dirty dog playing in the garden. Anyway, wardrobe change. Spring in New England. Start off the morning with long sleeves. By midday, short sleeves. By the afternoon, I'll probably be wearing shorts. All right, if you're using string to trellis up your tomatoes or vining vegetables, you can plant part of the string under the root ball, and as the roots grow, it just holds it down there. So we're going to see if it works. I'm going to make it long enough that it goes all the way up to here and all the way down to inside. Myself, so I covered a couple of the seedlings I just put down with that. I don't trust my dog either because he almost scratched one out, and being right on the side of it, my clumsy ass will knock it over, kneel on it, something stupid. So good idea, Melissa, good idea. Now that I have a few in, I need to go back to laying stuff out. So let's do that again. One of the original plans was to have the bigger tomatoes growing out this way, have the small cherry tomatoes going up on the vine, and I was going to have a row coming out this way, a few of the cherries along the wall, that way I'd have a long pathway to get through. But I'm going to be a little bit short on space, so I've decided to do a row of the big ones, just one of the, say, chocolate cherry or the yellow pear, then another row, another cherry type along the fence. Currently I had it, as you can see here, I had the green zebra coming out this way, 2 chocolate cherries, the Cherokee purple, another 2 chocolate cherries, and I feel like I'm taking up too much space with the chocolate cherries. I don't need this much space, so another reason why I wanted to lay it out in person and in the garden rather than just all on paper is so I can actually see it like this. So I'm going to get all the stuff out of the way, make a nice clean path, and then continue planting. I'm going to leave those things there to cover the seedlings for now. I have crates for the bigger ones just because my dog is the cutest, sweetest thing, right? But he's clumsy and he don't know. He knocks down cups and walks over plants. Another reason why it's a good thing. Over plants. Here's the Valencia, this row. 2 more are still hardening off. Now, the San Marzano pepper, oh my God, not pepper, tomato. The San Marzano tomato also grows smaller fruit, the Romo type tomato. So I'm going to also grow those up the fence. So this will also be the few that we have on the in-between. So what we have growing up the fence will be our yellow pear, our San Marzano, which is our Romo tomato, good for canning apparently. So hopefully we get a lot of them, because I will definitely be saving up to make my own sauce. And the chocolate cherry. That way I can go back and forth to them. And then next is going to be our green zebra. So I already have one here. Just got to move it down. I'm just eyeballing the foot. Pretty confident I can eyeball a foot. I'm going to put that right there, baby. That's fine. Oops. I'm going to do another San Marzano. These are the chocolate cherries. Oh, and also, I have some pots set up, so some of the things I don't have room for, I'm going to try in pots. As a matter of fact, I think one of the San Marzanos I want to put in a giant pot. We'll see how the spacing goes. All right, green zebra, another San Marzano, and then our Cherokee purples. And I only have one good one, two small ones, but I have some more growing up inside. Sand. Some purple basil that's going in. But you guys can just hang out here for now. Okay, so then we have a San Marzano, a space, Virginia sweets. These are orange. Another factor that I looked at when I was putting these out is once they start growing and producing the fruit, I'm hoping it just looks like a beautiful rainbow. So I still have this much space here, and it's going to be one more climbing there. I think the chocolate cherry, I'm going to do the black creme, more chocolate cherry, then the black and the chocolate will be near each other because they actually look that very similar in color, I think, from the pictures I saw. But I'm running out of battery on my camera here, so I'm going to finish laying it out, get my thing charged, continue to plant, and we'll meet up in a bit. All right, so I have only a couple varieties left to plant out. I'll go over everything when I'm done, but without the camera off, I was on a roll, and I just got to planting. The sun's finally coming over here, and it's going to get more and more difficult. I got to leave in about an hour, but I'm hoping to finish this up before I go, because this is going to be full of sun. These crates and things are over the seedlings that I planted today to protect them, number one, from my pup, number two, from the scorching heat once it starts. To get a couple more crates to put over the seedlings, since the sun's coming on hard, and I don't want them to get stressed out. And I found a little ladybug on one of them, so I decided it can move to the garden. Okay, let's get you somewhere. You can start living on my tomatoes now if you want. You can eat any aphids that try to take on my tomatoes. Thank you. So I started off down here. Marigolds, a yellow pear. I have a pole there to train it to go towards the fence so it can grow up the fence. But I'm probably going to put a string, replace that, and use that somewhere else. The next row we have is going to be 2 rows of the Brandywine Pink. So those 2 rows there. I only have 3. That's just a pot of marigolds. And 2 in this row. But I have 1 more to go into this empty space. Along the fence, we have a yellow pear, marigolds around, and our next row is the Roseau Sicilian. And that's these here. We have 4 of those. So 1, 2, 3 of the Roseau Sicilian, another marigold, a yellow pear, then a row of the Valencia. We have 2 in so far, and I have 2 still hardening off. Those cups are just a placeholder. Another marigold, and then we're starting our San Marzano. That's gonna go up the fence. Our next row, we have 1, 2, 3 green zebra, and we only had 3 there, and we had extra black crim, so we have 1 black crim right here. We have some space, another San Marzano, a purple basil. I'll be adding more basil. Then we have what's going to be 2 rows of the Cherokee purple, or purple Cherokee. I think it's Cherokee purple. Anyway, we only have 3 in right now. I have another one out here ready to harden up, and I had started some seedlings after I started this first round of tomatoes that still need to be hardened off as well to fill up this space. Then along the fence we have another San Marzano, marigolds, which you can see I put between like every plant along the fence. That's kind of a border. Then we have the Virginia Sweets, which is an orange. A little bit of space here along the fence. I have those 2 back there are the chocolate cherry. Then these 3 are the black crim. And then I put the other one down that other end. As you can see, I left a lot of space between the rows, number 1, so they have lots of space to grow. And lots of space for me to get in there in between and do any weeding I need to, any culling I need to. Some of these get very tall. I'll be adding some stakes at the end of each row. Yeah, we'll get into that after. But here we go. Tomatoes pretty much all in March. No, May 28th. Here's the 4 that is still hardening up. More purple basil. And I have a ton of basil upstairs going as well. That's all gonna get planted out. My little paradise. My lovely city garden. Peppers are loving this warm weather we had today. They almost doubled in size, most of them. Now that I have the tomatoes in, I will be able to figure out the next step on where we're putting the peppers, cucumbers, and pickling cucumbers, and the 2 eggplants I got today. 2 for the price of 1. Hey, thanks for spending the day with me in the garden. I had a great time growing with you. Come again soon.